Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am, of course, your host, Armando Venditti, the one and only. And with me, I have, again, Mr. Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Oh, I'm about. Hey, welcome to my new mouth. I'm just learning how to use it. Hello,
We're
Armand.
going with it. We're going with it. My new name now is Bubba, according to Bill. We just finished our Roger Waters ranking the albums, and in the interim between this and the previous video, we discussed doing a bit of a rant, and I guess you call it a rant, about music, specifically physical media, vinyl. Yes, look in on the video you see behind Bill, vinyl, records, ladies and gentlemen, versus any type of physical media, whether it be cassettes, vinyl, CDs. There you go. He's doing the Van and White perfectly, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't get a chance to get him the sequin top for that, but that's for next week with Pink. And versus downloading, streaming. What do you prefer? What's more convenient? What do you miss about physical media? Do you miss it? What are our views? And to start off, I'm going to hand it over to my illustrious co-host, Mr. Schuster. You have the floor.
All right. Well, one of the dogs set off one of my granddaughter's toys, so hopefully we don't get copyright strike from Coco Melon.
Hopefully not. I don't hear it, so we're good.
All right. Yeah, this has actually been on my mind a lot lately because as someone who is getting up there in years a little bit,
You're only 2 years older than me. Watch it.
Yeah. So we're old enough to remember the days when you had to go to the store and buy a new record or cassette or even 8-track or eventually CDs. The internet was not a thing. There was no way to just go instantly go on YouTube and hear whatever you wanted to hear or download from countless download sites. There was a more personal connection to the music because a lot of times that would be all you could afford when you bought that record. That might be the only new record that you would have for days, weeks, months.
Yeah.
And you had to get to know it. You had to spend time with it because that's all that was available to you unless you wanted to listen to the radio, which is always, of course, hit and miss and loaded with commercials and DJs who often don't know what they're talking about. That's a whole other rant, though. Now we have these devices. I have countless hours worth of music on this one alone, and it's not the only one I have. I can scroll through here and be lost trying to figure out what I want to listen to.
Yeah.
I have so much music. It's overwhelming, and there's a lot of stuff on there I'm familiar with that I know, but there's so much stuff I just haven't gotten around to because it's intimidating, the sheer amount.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes I go back to those old comfortable things and rather than choosing one of the unfamiliar things because there are too many. I don't think that I would, if given the choice, I don't think I would go back to only physical media because I do like the portability and the access to things I might not be able to get.
Yeah.
But I really do miss many things about those days of just going into the store and that excitement of seeing a new album by an artist that didn't even know it was coming out because no internet. If you didn't see it in a magazine or anything like that, just walk in the store and look and wow, I didn't even know this was going to be here, didn't know they were putting anything out. And that sheer thrill of taking it up to the register and paying for it and taking it home, and just totally spontaneous exciting experience. Now it's just another file that's downloaded. I and it's just not the same somehow. Which is why I've gone back to getting so many records, and so I never stopped with the CDs. I did stop with the records for a number of years, but
Gee, I couldn't tell there, Bill.
yeah, yeah, this is just scratching the surface here.
I mean that with love and affection. I really do. Um, no, I know what you're saying. Um, let me ask you this: do you think that because with things like YouTube and other streaming sites, do you think that the joy and the spontaneity of music let me start again. Only 3 coffees today, folks. Forgive me. Um, we were stream of consciousness here, guys.
Stream of coffiness.
Yes, yes. And I'm about to take a sip when I pose this question. Do you feel that with the ease that we have to obtain music now, whether it be with the streaming sites, whether it be Apple, etc., do you feel that the uniqueness or the joy of obtaining music has basically petered out?
In a way, yeah, I definitely do. As far as
As I take a sip, so go ahead.
yeah, yeah, the downloading or yeah, obtaining any sort of non-physical copy like that, it just yeah, it's not as joyful. It's not as exciting. It's to me, I get a lot more pleasure out of going to a record store and going through the used bins and just seeing what I can find. Not even specifically going in looking for a particular thing, just seeing what kind of treasures are there that I can take home that day. And I'll just look through them all the way home while Stacy's driving. I'll have the record stacked on my lap, and let me pull this out and look at that again, and it's fun. I really get into it. It's a treasure hunt. And meanwhile, I have all these files sitting here. It's nice to have them. There's some things that I can only get in that format. There's
Yeah,
a lot of cool, obscure old stuff, like I mean, old jazz or ancient classical recordings and stuff like that that I could no way find physical media for. It's really great for that sort of thing. But
yeah, yeah. No, I completely get it. And I'll just say this: it sounds like you and I were separated at birth, because I'm very much the same way. And guys, this idea for this episode or segment, whatever you want to call it, just started this morning. We just started talking this morning about it, and stream of consciousness, we were just going to do it off the top of our heads. Yeah, I agree with you. For me, I've always been into music. I remember as a kid, as young as 3 years old, listening. I grew up with 3 sisters, so music was always on in the house. Whatever type, country, pop, rock, adult contemporary, whatever you want to call it. And I remember being taken to the local mall by my mom, and I always have to buy a record, whether it be, way back in our day, back in 1974, you could get an album for $4.99, if you can honestly believe that. And then, when it went up to $7.99, people's skirts were up in a tizzy because it's so expensive. Please. I would always come back home with either a 45 or an album, because I always loved listening to music. And for me, a lot of the spontaneity has gone out of it in terms of the downloading. Yes, it's convenient to have it at your fingertips, and sources like YouTube, where if I'm doing one of these shows, ranking shows, I can listen to an album on YouTube, just simply because I have the album physically, but if I can't physically get to the stereo to put the CD in, I will listen to it on YouTube and make my notes. But I honestly prefer having the physical media in your hand. There is something to be said for, and I've told this story many a time before because I'm a big mouth, right? I've told this story where I remember being rocked to sleep by my sisters at the age of 3 or 4, and sitting, being rocked in their arms, and because I was a small kid, I've ballooned since then, obviously, and the only light on in the room was the stereo light coming, the lights coming off the stereo, having them listen to music, either the radio or a record, and just those are the images that are in my head. So for me, the actual physical media of sitting there, looking at an album cover, reading the lyrics, reading where it was recorded, and just getting the full effect of the music coming out of you, hitting you, coming out of the speakers, there's nothing like it,
No.
you know? And there is something to be said for going, um, uh, I guess, going to a record shop, and well, that's what we're talking about. Stupid me. Going to a record shop and just finding a CD that you never thought was going to be released, or that you didn't know was going to be released, and you're like, my God, I got it in my hands. Like I can go buy it, go home, listen to it, crank it, whatever. There's a joy in that, right? And I don't think that that's there anymore, ever, that's ever been there for with downloading. I mean, yes, there's, or streaming. Yes, there's the convenience of it having it on your phone, but like you said, I have a hard drive, an external hard drive with stuff that I haven't listened to in a year or two,
Yeah.
and it's just sitting there,
I've got a couple of them right here next to me. Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah, I mean, like, for example, I have multiple copies of Wings Over America, right? I've got the official, I think he's about to pull it out, ladies and gentlemen. The album that is. The album that is. I have copies of it. I have, yes, I have that. I have the vinyl version, which is a triple album. Yes, you see, guys, that is something that you cannot experience by using streaming.
No.
It you know, there is something to be said for physically holding something in your hands and enjoying it, and just being lost in the moment for that hour, or I'm going to get teary-eyed, for that hour or 2 hours of listening to an album, live album usually. But I had that copy. I even found a copy, a bootleg, a sound recording of the of Wings Over America in red, white, and blue vinyl. Okay, that I have. I have the box set for that, the super deluxe box set. Yes, it's available. It would be available eventually on streaming, but there was nothing like holding, in my very humble opinion, holding the physical copy and just enjoying it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it, and let me ask you this: what do you feel about how do you feel about because I've heard stories of these used record stores being shut down, or being like going the way of the dodo bird, like,
They seem pretty successful in general at this point. I think there are enough hipsters out there helping to keep them going, buying the new stuff that comes out in order to allow them to stay open for the old folks like me who want to go find a bunch of old used records instead. They make their money off the hipsters.
I'm glad you said old folks like you. Sorry, I keep stumbling with my words. Again, ladies and gentlemen, for the record, we're only 2 years apart in age, so I'm not there yet, you know.
I'm 21
Yeah, holding on for dear life. But
for a very long time.
yeah, yeah. Um, what do you feel about? I forgot to ask you this question before we went on. What do you feel about these artists who have, let's say, who have made their money and are going after these sites for sharing their music without paying for it? What do you?
That is a tough one. I know when Metallica became infamous for going after their fans, that was obviously a pretty hot topic online on all the music related message boards, and there are definitely two sides to that story. I get the point of the artist as much as I was less than enthused about the way Lars Ulrich, among others, handled it. I get them trying to protect their stuff and trying to, profit from their own work. I understand that. There's always the argument of if anybody's going to download it for free, they probably weren't going to buy it anyway, so it's not really a lost sale. There was my angle on it was at that point, I have racks of CDs that I bought because I first downloaded an artist's work from whatever Napster or any number of other sites that were available
Yeah,
over 20 years ago.
yeah.
I really did use it as a big time sampling thing. And, if I got something I liked, I went and bought it. I first heard Spock's Beard. Uh, they've been one of the most popular modern progressive rock bands for over a quarter of a century.
Mm-hmm.
I first heard them on Napster right about the time their fifth album came out. I heard two songs. I went to my local store within a matter of days, and they happened to have three of the first five Spock's Beard albums in there, believe it or not, at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I bought them all. I ordered the other two online.
Mm-hmm.
So I instantly bought an entire catalog. That's just one small example.
Yeah,
But
I'm the same way. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I tend to do the same thing. So you were saying, sorry.
and say that I did not do that with all artists, though. So I'm not going to claim to be some paragon of virtue here or anything. I absolutely downloaded a bunch of stuff that I did not buy physical media for. Now, is that an ethical gray area? Yes. I get that it's sketchy ethically, but it goes back again to that thing. Well, obviously I wasn't going to buy them anyway. So is it really a lost sale? It's tough looking at intellectual property like that. I don't know. I'm yeah, I'm gonna own my behavior. I've done it plenty. Sometimes I bought stuff, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes
You,
I just never went back to it. But
well, I think you are one of the most above board individuals I've ever met in my life. Virtually, that is. Um, no, I really mean that sincerely. This guy, everybody, is the genuine article. So
I appreciate that.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna beat around the bush with that. Um, I I hear what you're saying. I mean, in terms of the downloading, I think and we're going off on another tangent, guys, but I think which is what we do on this show.
It's the stream of coffeeness.
Yes, and I'm only halfway down my coffee too. So yes. Um, stay tuned for our next. No, never mind. I think you're okay with the downloading as long as the person who is downloading does not make sale of what they downloaded. If you were to download and sell it, then you would be not nabbed for that, right? um I think there's a lot of avenues to go down with that. I think I've downloaded in the past. Yes, even I've downloaded, you guilty, but at the time too, I mean, you can go to a record store and find a CD that you want or an album that you want, and like a CD would go for like $50. Now, you can either buy it for 50, which to me for a single disc is way expensive, or you could have downloaded it and listened to it at home. Now, ladies and gentlemen out there watching, and I know you are, what would you do? What would you do? Would you download it for free and save your money, or go spend money that you really didn't have to spend on the same item that was like, say, 35 or $50? Do you know what I mean? It's there's a check and balance here. If the albums were lower in price, I'm sure people would go to the stores in droves and buy that product, right? I got to admit, I do not download as much as I used to. I do use YouTube to stream because it's free, but I don't. I prefer the physical media myself. I prefer, again, going out and getting, Amazon is my Bible. It's got to be said. Thank you, Amazon.ca. It's for getting stuff, and a lot of the times too is my local record store does not have Spock's beard. Do you know what I mean? Does not have the Herbie Hancock catalog in their store, because if it's not something that they will if it's not something that someone will buy regularly, they won't stock it, right? They'll only keep one or two of whatever artists of whatever recent CDs they have. So there's that detriment as well. So what do you do? So there was this thing they were talking about when the home taping came out, and I want to get your opinion on that, and then we'll end this quick. Too late. Do you feel that at the time, sorry, as I adjust myself in the chair, do you feel that like home taping, do you feel that killed the music market?
Absolutely not. Well, all right. That was yeah, that absolutely was the downloading of the day. And yeah, I absolutely made my share of mixtapes from my own records, from borrowed records, whether from friends, acquaintances, library, whatever. Um, it definitely did not put the music industry out of business. they I think they continued to make quite a few profits. Now, whether the artists saw those profits, that's another story. We could get into the ethics of the music industry itself and the way the industry itself screws the artists.
That's a
So,
whole other chapter.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
Um,
That's
no,
the index of this whole conversation. It's like, okay.
I will say a lot of the items that I taped, say back in the '80s, records later on, as I became an adult and had a little more income,
Mhm.
uh, I did go and replace a lot of those in actual, whether it be CDs or records, most likely CDs by that point. But
Mhm.
so I guess that again was an earlier version of what I did with the downloading sites.
Yeah.
It was okay, this will work for now, but
Yeah.
until I can get the preferred physical copy, just because I want that physical copy. I mean, that's the download might be cheaper free. The home taping might be a lot cheaper, but it's not nearly as satisfying seeing those little handwritten song titles on the crappy little TDK or Memorex cassette, or
Yeah. Love
without a
me a good
proper album
Maxell tape.
cover. What's that?
Love me a good Maxell tape. Yeah, I know. I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all right.
No, I completely get where you're coming from. I loved it. I would, I am guilty of doing home taping and making mixtapes, and for my own personal use, I wish to stress that. And I also wish to stress that we are in no way saying that artists should not be compensated for their work. They should, by all means, be compensated for the work they put out on the market. There's no argument there. The argument comes in when um the records or the CDs are being sold at quite expensive amounts of money. And I remember you used to be able to get a Japanese import for like $50, at your local store. And that's another issue too. That's another sub topic. I mean, you used to be able to go into a record store and find, depending on the record store, German imports, Japanese imports, British imports, that there in itself lies the crux of it. You don't get that with downloading. You don't get that with downloading. I mean, you get to look at very often the British imports or the Japanese imports had different art cover art on it. Sorry. Again, 3 cups of coffee. Cover art, different track listing. I mean, look at the Beatles, the US catalog versus the British catalog or the European catalogs. Different track listing. So, and Mr. Schuster is about to pull something out of his bag right now to show the difference there. So, I mean, there are a whole other different facets to look at here, a whole other different avenues to go down. But yeah, I mean, what have you found?
Oh, this was when you were talking about the different covers on the imports.
Yeah.
I found this Gentle Giant Three Friends record at my local store before it closed down last year. And this is, of course, the American cover. The original cover, well, of course, this was the original cover of the self-titled Gentle Giant album.
Exactly. I was going to say, yeah.
So, yeah, to me, I'm glad I found this. It's nice to have an actual original vinyl copy of this, but it bugs me that it has the wrong cover on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
you
would have
kind of,
liked to have found the import cover, which
yeah.
was the true cover.
Yeah. The way it was, the way it was originally intended to be.
Yeah, that's a great cover. I love that cover, but it belongs on a different album. So yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of screws you up in terms of what you're looking for and stuff, right? I mean, like, yeah, no, I completely get it. And I mean, I'll give you an example of finding a bit of a gold nugget at a record shop. There used to be a record store in Canada called Sam the Record Man.
Yeah.
And you've heard of it.
I was in there in 2004 when we were in Toronto for RushCon.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That
yeah.
mother of a store, ladies and gentlemen, had everything. I mean, you couldn't swing a cat around the room without bashing into a pile or a stack of records that were imports or whatever. And we love cats on this show. But I'm just saying, it's just a euphemism. But I went in because what I used to do is I used to go, and this is the thing of it. I used to go out, do my errands, have a coffee, do whatever, come back home, and it was on Yonge Street. Sam the Record Man was located on Yonge Street, Yonge and Dundas, or Yonge and Gould, right near Ryerson University. So I used to come home by wheelchair, stop off at Sam's, look in the store, sorry, find whatever I couldn't afford. Every once in a while, I could find a CD I could afford. And what I found there one day was a Japanese copy of a group called Smile. Okay. Smile, if for any of you who don't know, were the band before Queen. Okay. So I was able to find an album called Ghost of a Smile. and it had these big ass lips on the front cover that would make Mick Jagger blush with big teeth. So, and it was their first EP released through Mercury Records in 1969. But stuff like that you don't find at your conventional local record store. I mean, depending on what these record stores had in terms of suppliers, you could find this stuff. And I mean, I paid like $30 for it. But to me, that was a gold nugget. That was something that was just for me. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, Bill, you've had that experience as well. I'll shut up for a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, plenty of times. It's the thrill of the chase there too,
Yeah.
trying to find those things. You never know what you might come across out in the wild like that. It's cool. Of course, that when we're talking about the artist being compensated and the ethical questions, buying used copies, the artists don't receive anything. They've possibly been paid for the initial purchase when it was new,
Yeah.
but how is buying a used record different from watching it on YouTube or downloading it?
Which
The
brings
artist,
me to, yeah,
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Right.
I apologize. I am so sorry.
No, go ahead.
It brings me to my next point, because I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're stealing from the artist. If you download, you're stealing from the artist." I'm like, okay, all right, let's look at it this way. If you're gonna shut down all these downloading or streaming sites, why don't you shut down the secondhand record shops? Shut them all down.
Don't give them
Because
any ideas.
what was that?
So don't give them any ideas.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Well, there you go. Believe me. I doubt that my little station here, my little YouTube channel, is gonna do anything but that. But no, but that's just it. If you're gonna stop all the streaming sites, why don't you shut down the record shops? Because these artists, who, yes, they deserve to be compensated, they do not get any money off of a resale at all. So if you're going to do something, don't do it half-assed. Use your whole ass and do it properly. Okay? Because you can't cry wolf for one and not do for the other. If you're going to go after one segment, you need to go after the entire situation across the board, right? So you can't just shut down one area and keep the other area open, because it's not balanced that way. It's playing favorites, right? So I was going to say that too. So yeah, no, you're right. You beat me to the punch on that one, but it's true. So I guess in closing, Bill, and thank you for hanging around for this segment. Do you feel that do you feel that you prefer the physical media, whatever would be CDs, records, to the downloading?
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to give up the digital files again for the convenience and the portability, and it's nice sometimes just to have it right there all at once, especially when traveling. It's a lot easier than it used to be. I used to bring like cases of CDs with me and a jam box, and yeah, it would take up a lot of space. Wasn't the best for traveling,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah, other than that though, for most of the time, yeah, absolutely. I am glad to have the physical media. And I do still buy new stuff too, just for the record. I'm not just strictly buying used stuff. So artists are still getting compensated. So,
okay, well, what are your latest purchases?
oh, let's see here.
Just give me two. As he swings around, he does a good swing around like no one's business, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus.
This is, we were talking about, Is This the Life We Really Want by Roger Waters in 2017.
Yes.
That was one of my two favorite albums from 2017. I just a couple weeks ago, Stacy and I went down south a little bit and hit a record store, and I got my other favorite, a nice shiny new vinyl copy, a double record of Rainbow by Kesha.
I have that too on CD. Get out of here.
I love this album. It is a blast. It's fun.
Turn it around again. Yes, you've seen it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So yeah, it's Kesha got
It's
paid.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
At
oh
least I hope she did.
well, yeah, yeah, you would think so, for God's
Yeah.
sake. By the way, little footnote, uh, off the topic. I was in the record store, HMV at the time when that album first came out, and the first song came on in the store, and the swearing that was on that track,
On that whole album.
and the manager turned around and he said to the guy, said to the coworker, "Why are you playing this now? Like, you can't play that track. It's the lead off track off the album, right?" And I forget the name of it, but the B word was used, and not for the female. I'm not going to say what it is, because I mean, we've been, if I was getting money for this, I'd be demonetized already. But the word bastard was used. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was, and she was screaming it, and I said to the guy, "Look," because he was talking with me, the sales guy, "Jesse, if you're watching, and I know you probably are, I said to Jesse, you need to take this off, because it's not proper for the store right now. Like, you can't do that." He's like, "Oh, okay, no, I'll go take it off." So yeah, no, good album cover, by the way. I mean,
Yeah.
how is that album? I haven't heard in a long time. Like, I know some of the songs.
Yeah. It's a blast. It's just it's a fun album. It's all over the map. It's
Yeah,
to me, this is kind of her version of what Pink's Misunderstood was. It's Kesha getting away from the producers and doing whatever the hell she wants.
yeah, Dr. Luke, I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah. Here she's just all over the place. I mean, the Eagles of Death Metal are on a couple of songs. Apparently, she's good friends with the whole band. And Dolly Parton is on here doing a duet with her on Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, which was written by Kesha's mom, which is a cool little tidbit there. So, yeah, it's just,
yeah.
yeah, to this and Roger Waters, my two favorite albums of 2017, couldn't get much more different.
I got to dig that son of a bitch out and listen to it. Yeah,
It's fun.
again, yeah.
And yeah,
Um,
if anybody is offended by cussing, stay far away from this album.
yeah, yeah, no,
It
definitely.
gets that potty mouth full full force.
No, there you go. There you go. Um, well, in closing, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, I myself do prefer the physical media as opposed to the streaming or the downloading. I am big surprise, right? I don't nothing against the downloading, but I do believe that there is an experience that is missing, that you need to experience when you buy a record or a CD. The experience of actually going to a store and seeing something that you may not have known that was out, or looking for that certain thing that you know is out, or better yet, finding something that's, as I call them, gold nuggets, where you don't expect to find it, but it's like, oh, you find something that you like, and you're like, oh, this is all mine, and you take it home. You walk up to the cash, you pay for it, and you take it home. So that is my rant. I apologize. I didn't mean to turn this into a Dr. Phil episode, but yeah, that is our rant. So down below, down there, if you want, please do leave a comment. Do you prefer streaming? Do you prefer physical media? Whatever it may be, even audiobooks, whatever it is. Because actually, before we started taping, Stacy, Bill's wife, and I were chatting about books, and that we both love reading books, the physical media, not the Kindle, not the whatever you can find online, just actual physical books, to sit and read something, to turn a page, you know. So again, hit down there, put the comments, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think we're both old men going nuts? Who knows?
These things can all be true.
There you go. There you go. And again, I want to thank Mr. Bill Schuster for participating in this video. You have been a gentleman and a real good sport in doing this with me. And we will be back next Friday. This is going up probably tomorrow, but this is Friday. We'll be back next Friday with Bill and his wife Stacy, and we'll be doing an album ranking of none other than Alicia Moore, otherwise known as Pink. And yes, as we said in the previous video, there is only one Pink, and
right.
it is her. So whatever Roger Waters says, don't you believe it. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti for the Music Den. Have a fantastic day. Please look after yourselves and one another. And we will see you very soon. Quickly hit the notification bell to keep you on top of any new content that's coming out. Hit like and subscribe. And we will see you very, very soon. So again, for Mr. Bill Schuster, I'm long-winded. Sue me. I'm Armando Venditti. Have a great day. And bye for now.